Imagine a city so powerful, so rich, so advanced, that its shining temples reflected sunlight across the sea like mirrors of gold. A city where knowledge flourished, ships ruled the oceans, and wealth flowed through its streets like rivers. Now imagine that in a single night it disappeared. Not slowly, not over centuries, but suddenly, violently, swallowed by the sea. No survivors to tell the story, no ruins rising above the waves, just silence beneath the endless blue of the Atlantic Ocean. For more than 2,300 years, humanity has been haunted by a single question. Did the legendary city of Atlantis truly exist? Was it merely a philosophical story? Or was it a real civilization lost beneath the ocean? Across generations, sailors, explorers, and scholars have wondered whether somewhere beneath those vast waters lie the remains of a forgotten empire. The idea of a city disappearing in one catastrophic night captures the imagination because it challenges everything we think we know about history. If Atlantis existed, it would mean an entire advanced civilization rose, thrived, and vanished long before most of recorded history began. The ocean hides countless secrets beneath its depths. Entire mountain ranges, deep trenches, and lost landscapes remain unseen by human eyes. Somewhere in that darkness, could there be remnants of a once great city? The mystery of Atlantis continues to pull humanity toward the unknown, reminding us that our planet still holds stories waiting to be uncovered. This is the mystery of Atlantis, a tale of power, pride, catastrophe, and one of history's greatest unanswered questions. The story of Atlantis begins not with archaeologists or explorers, but with a philosopher who lived more than 2,000 years ago. Around 360 BC, the Greek philosopher Plato recorded the story in two dialogues known as Timaeus and Critias. Plato was not merely a storyteller. He was one of the most influential thinkers in human history, a student of Socrates and the teacher of Aristotle. Within his philosophical writings, Plato described a powerful island civilization located beyond the Pillars of Hercules, the ancient name for the entrance to the Mediterranean Sea near the Strait of Gibraltar. According to his account, Atlantis existed thousands of years before his time and was larger than Libya and Asia Minor combined. Plato described the Atlanteans as a highly organized and prosperous people who had built a magnificent capital city designed with rings of land and water. Bridges connected these circular districts, while canals allowed ships to travel deep into the heart of the city. Temples, palaces, and markets filled the landscape, reflecting the wealth and power of the Atlantean Empire. For centuries after Plato wrote these dialogues, scholars debated whether Atlantis was meant to be taken literally or symbolically. Some believed Plato invented the story to illustrate philosophical ideas about power and morality. Others believed he preserved a memory of an ancient catastrophe that had been passed down through generations. Whether myth or reality, Plato's account provided a detailed and vivid description that has fascinated historians and dreamers for more than 2 millennia. According to Plato's description, Atlantis was not simply a city. It was the center of a vast and powerful empire. The island itself was rich with fertile land, forests, and precious metals. Rivers flowed through its valleys, and its harbors welcomed ships from distant lands. At the center of Atlantis stood an extraordinary capital city. The city was built in circular rings, alternating between land and water, forming a design unlike anything else in the ancient world. These rings were connected by bridges, allowing people and goods to move easily between districts. In the very center stood a magnificent temple dedicated to the sea god Poseidon. Within the temple was a towering statue of Poseidon, riding a chariot pulled by 6 winged horses. The statue was said to be covered in gold, reflecting the immense wealth of the Atlantean people. Plato wrote that Atlantis possessed vast quantities of gold, silver, and precious stones. The city's walls were covered in rare metals, including a mysterious material called orichalcum that glowed with a fiery brilliance. Atlantean engineers built massive harbors capable of housing hundreds of ships, while advanced irrigation systems allowed agriculture to flourish across the island. The people of Atlantis were known for their intelligence, discipline, and technological skill. Their government was organized under a powerful royal family, descended from Atlas, the first king. Under their leadership, Atlantis expanded its influence across the seas, establishing trade routes and alliances with distant lands. For centuries, Atlantis prospered as a beacon of wealth and knowledge, standing as one of the greatest civilizations the world had ever known. But according to Plato's story, the greatness of Atlantis didn't last forever. As generations passed, the character of its rulers began to change. The virtues that had once defined Atlantean society slowly faded. Wealth and power can transform even the noblest societies, and Atlantis was no exception. The descendants of Atlas gradually became more interested in conquest and domination than in wisdom and justice. The once honorable rulers began to pursue greater control over neighboring lands. Their empire expanded rapidly, and with every victory their confidence grew. Atlantean armies marched across distant territories, while their fleets dominated the seas. Cities fell under their control, and tribute flowed back to the capital. Yet as their power increased, so did their arrogance. The Atlanteans began to see themselves as superior to all other civilizations. Their leaders believed their empire could never fall. Plato described this transformation as a moral decline. The divine qualities that once guided the Atlanteans weakened as human greed and ambition took hold. Their society, once balanced and harmonious, began drifting toward corruption. And as history has often shown, when pride blinds a civilization to its own flaws, disaster may not be far behind. Eventually, Atlantis turned its attention toward conquering the lands surrounding the Mediterranean. According to Plato, the Atlanteans launched a massive military campaign aimed at dominating the known world. Many regions fell quickly before their powerful armies. Yet one small civilization stood in their way, the ancient city of Athens. Plato described Athens as courageous and determined, a society that valued freedom and justice. Against all expectations, the Athenians resisted the mighty Atlantean forces. In Plato's account, Athens managed to defeat Atlantis in battle, stopping the expansion of the powerful empire. But the story did not end with war. Soon after this conflict, nature itself unleashed unimaginable destruction. Plato wrote that powerful earthquakes shook the land, while violent floods swept across the region. In a single terrible day and night, the island of Atlantis sank beneath the sea. Entire cities were swallowed by the ocean. Palaces collapsed. Temples vanished beneath the waves. The once glorious civilization disappeared forever. The ocean where Atlantis once stood became impassable, filled with mud and debris. What had once been the greatest empire of its time was reduced to nothing more than a memory. For centuries, the story of Atlantis remained a mystery passed down through Plato's writings. Some scholars dismissed it as pure fiction, while others believed it might contain elements of real historical events. In modern times, researchers began searching for physical evidence that might support the legend. Advances in archaeology and underwater exploration opened new possibilities for discovering lost civilizations. One of the most discussed theories connects Atlantis to the volcanic island of Santorini. Around 1600 BC, Santorini experienced one of the most powerful volcanic eruptions in recorded history. The explosion destroyed much of the island and sent enormous waves across the Mediterranean Sea. Nearby civilizations, including the advanced Minoan culture on Crete, suffered devastating damage. Entire cities were buried beneath ash, and coastal settlements were swept away by tsunamis. Some researchers believe this catastrophic event could have inspired the story recorded by Plato centuries later. The sudden destruction of a prosperous island civilization would certainly have left a powerful impression on the ancient world. Yet the timing of the eruption does not match Plato's description exactly, leaving the mystery unresolved. Today, scientists possess technologies that ancient explorers could never have imagined. Deep-sea sonar, underwater drones, and satellite mapping allow researchers to study the ocean floor in incredible detail. These tools have revealed vast underwater landscapes, including submerged mountains, ancient river valleys, and mysterious stone formations. Occasionally, these discoveries spark renewed excitement about the possibility of finding Atlantis. Some sonar scans have revealed geometric patterns that resemble walls or roads. Others have uncovered massive stone structures resting deep beneath the ocean surface. While most of these formations are eventually explained as natural geological features, the discoveries continue to fuel speculation. The truth is that much of Earth's oceans remain unexplored. Some scientists estimate that more than 80% of the ocean floor has never been fully mapped. If Atlantis truly existed along ancient coastlines thousands of years ago, rising sea levels after the last ice age could have submerged it beneath hundreds of meters of water. If that is the case, the remains of Atlantis may still be hidden beneath layers of sediment, waiting for future explorers to uncover them. Whether Atlantis existed as a real place or not, the story carries powerful meaning. Plato may have intended the legend as a warning about the dangers of pride and corruption within powerful societies. Throughout history, many great civilizations have risen and fallen. Cities that once dominated trade, culture, and technology eventually declined or disappeared. The legend of Atlantis reminds us that even the most advanced societies can collapse if they lose their sense of balance and responsibility. Wealth and power alone cannot guarantee survival. Natural forces also play a role in shaping human history. Earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and rising seas have repeatedly transformed landscapes and forced civilizations to adapt or perish. Atlantis represents a symbol of humanity's fragile relationship with both power and nature. It reminds us that progress must be guided by wisdom, humility, and respect for the world around us. Today, thousands of years after Plato first wrote about Atlantis, the mystery continues to inspire explorers, historians, and dreamers. Books, documentaries, and scientific expeditions continue searching for clues that might reveal the truth. Perhaps Atlantis was a real civilization lost to a natural catastrophe. Perhaps it was an exaggerated memory of ancient disasters. Or perhaps it was simply a philosophical story designed to teach moral lessons. Yet the fascination remains. Somewhere beneath the vast waters of the Atlantic Ocean, countless secrets lie hidden. Each new discovery reminds us how little we truly know about the depths of our own planet. And as long as the oceans remain mysterious, the legend of Atlantis will continue to capture the imagination of humanity. The waves of the ocean continue their endless rhythm, rising and falling as they have for millions of years. Beneath those waters lie the remains of countless forgotten worlds, ancient coastlines, lost landscapes, and perhaps even entire civilizations. Did Atlantis truly exist? The answer may still be waiting beneath the sea, hidden beneath layers of time and sediment. But perhaps the greatest legacy of Atlantis is not a lost city beneath the ocean. Perhaps it is the lesson it leaves behind. The legend reminds us that greatness must be guided by wisdom, power must be balanced by humility, and every civilization, no matter how advanced, remains vulnerable to both human mistakes and the forces of nature. The story of Atlantis endures not because we know it is true, but because it reflects something deeply human: our curiosity, our imagination, and our hope that one day the mysteries of our past will finally be revealed. Until that day comes, the ocean will continue guarding its secrets, and the legend of Atlantis will continue echoing through history.